And what's good, YouTube? It's Supreme J here, and I'm with my girlfriend.
Brittany.
So yeah, we just came back from eating some sushi, and we started talking, just having a conversation about like soulmates and twin flames and stuff, which we'll talk about what they are and stuff. And we got into a debate about certain things though that we disagreed on. And I said, you know what? Why don't we sit down, put on the camera, give you guys some content, and just talk about it. So tell them your stance on the soulmate and the things that we were disagreeing on.
You tell them.
Okay, I'll tell them. So basically, to me, a soulmate is like someone that is literally your soulmate, like everyone knows, right? Now, I don't think that you meet your soulmate in every life just because some things can happen that could potentially prevent it. And I don't think that every time that you do meet your soulmate, they necessarily have to be your significant other. But what I do believe is whether they're your best friend or your significant other, when you do meet your soulmate, I feel like that is the person that's like your ride or die. You know what I mean? I don't feel like that's the person that you just are meant to end up with, that you end up with through your life, right? So like I don't believe that you can meet your soulmate and then they cheat on you and then you guys just part ways, right?
So I disagree. I don't think that your soulmate, you guys can drift and grow apart, but your soulmate sometimes isn't always meant to stay in your life. Your soulmate can teach you a lesson, your soulmate can grow apart. Like, everyone has a soulmate, but I think that it's not always just meant to be happy and stay together forever. And then that brings along the twin flame, which is supposedly the same soul cut in half. The twin flame is meant to stay in your life.
Yeah, so basically though, I just don't believe that, like, for me personally, right, let's say that you're with someone and then they cheat on you and that teaches you some lesson that you learn. I feel like
Well,
those.
I didn't say cheat on you.
No, but I'm just using it as an example. I'm using an example. Like,
Okay.
so you learn a lesson from this person that you were with, right? So I feel like those ones are not your soulmate because those ones are teaching you lessons. And then when you are with your soulmate, that's like, that's it. You've taken all the lessons that you've learned, and then that's who you end up with.
Oh, because
I don't. Think about it. If it's your soulmate, that's the person that you're supposed to be with forever. So why would you end up not being with them?
Not all the time. Soulmate can be in your life specifically to teach you a lesson. It doesn't always like work out with your soulmate. That's still your soulmate, don't get it twisted. But it's different for everyone. Many people, they get married to their soulmates, of course, and they end up getting divorced or it just doesn't work out. And at the end of the day, like, that person still came into your life, teach you a very valuable lesson, and you guys grow apart. Maybe in the next lifetime it'll work out for you guys and you can stay longer together, and
See, to me, I wouldn't agree with that because then I feel like they might think that that person was your soulmate, but then for all they know, that I don't think that that person actually was your soulmate. I feel like the soulmate is only the person that you stick it out with, right? Because in this life, we don't know for sure if the person that you're with is your soulmate. Like, yeah, you could get married and then get a divorce and you're like, damn, that was my soulmate. But in reality, let's just say that you go into the afterlife and you're like, oh shit, that wasn't my soulmate. You feel me?
No, but I feel like you just know, you just know when that person is your soulmate.
Because I know a lot of guys don't really believe in it, astrology, right? So how is soulmate a term in astrology? Because I know you know about astrology.
Yeah, it's the same thing, nothing different.
But what I don't understand is that in astrology, there's like, okay, I'm a Gemini, and they can say like, oh, a Sagittarius is a good match, but they also be like, oh, but another zodiac is a good match as well. So that kind of doesn't make sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
How can you have, bruh?
You can be compatible with different people.
I'm talking about soulmate though. If it's your soulmate, shouldn't you only be compatible with one person?
No, you can have multiple soulmates.
No, you can't.
You can have multiple
No, you have one,
bruh.
bruh. Guys, comment down below and tell her.
A soulmate is not meant to be together forever. It may work out, and it's not always platonic in a relationship. Like, it could be your twin flame. There's many different other, people will come into your life and connect with you.
Okay.
And your soulmate will not always.
So obviously we agree to disagree, which is fine. That's what we're just talking about, giving you guys some content. We want to hear what you guys have to say. So now we're going to astrology, because I know this is another thing that. So for me, I feel like I don't believe in it because I feel like my personality and who the person I am isn't defined by the time of the year I was born and the way that the stars were freaking aligned and the planets and all this bullcrap. I feel
There's
like,
more to it.
listen. I just feel like the person that you are and you become is simply based off the experiences that you go through life. Someone that, okay, let's just say you have two people, right, that are born at the same time on the same day in the same hospital. But let's just say that one person is born into a rich family and one person is born into a family in poverty. They are going to grow up and be very different people and have very different lives.
Okay, I agree. But astrology is just
So you
much deeper than that.
Nah, bro.
Okay, you're trying to say that you don't believe what the astrology has to say. Like, if you're compatible with a person, it just doesn't determine it, right? You're trying to say you don't.
I feel like in general, like for example, like when it's describing like, oh, you know who a Gemini is or whatever. I feel like it gives very broad terms.
Yeah,
and
it does. But it also says some truth in it.
Or like for example, like when people will say like, oh, the way he acts, I can tell that he's a Taurus or whatever, and then they'll be like, oh no, I'm actually like a Libra or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like the terms are just like so broad and whatnot that like I don't understand how you can like believe like, oh yeah, that's facts.
Okay,
or, like,
well, you have to know more about it because there's your sun sign, there's your moon sign, and there's your rising sign.
Okay.
So you have all these different. Your main sign, the one that you know, is your sun sign, and that might not be always what you represent.
Which
how
is
you
the
act.
Gemini, right?
Yeah, that would be your
Okay,
Gemini.
so I'm a Gemini. She's a Sagittarius.
So you have to know your time of birth and your place of birth to know your rising and your moon sign.
Okay.
Your rising is meant to portray how you act towards others, how you portray yourself, and how you react with others.
Okay.
And then your moon sign is like kind of like who you are deeper inside. So you have to take into account all of those as well. Your moon sign can be compatible with a different sign, and you know, sometimes in people that takes over your character more. So it's not just always about, you know, this. I mean, you belong with like a Gemini, or you belong with a Libra.
Okay, that's fine. But like
there's more to it, and if you do your research,
like, so
it's
for
all
example,
scientifically involved, and it's all like it all just makes sense.
So for example, you said that the moon sign is how you treat people.
Your moon sign has to
and
do
then
with others.
The rising is like who you are deeper inside.
No, your moon sign. That would be your moon sign. Your rising would be how you portray to yourself to the world.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying though. If you have a situation where two kids are born, but they're born into very different situations, the person that they become to be is based on the situation that they're born in, not based on the way that the planets and all this stuff were aligned. If theoretically they were born in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, it's deeper than that. It is a broad spectrum, but it's not to say like, oh, you know what astrology is saying, like you are that person, and if you're not, then it's just all fake, and it doesn't make sense. It's not true.
But see, that's why I disagree
There's
though,
more
because
to it.
I feel like the people that will like freaking look at like the horoscope and like if it says, oh, you're gonna have a challenging day, I feel like that's just putting it in your head and that's manifesting it. That's not actually because of the way that the stars are aligned or whatever. Like, I feel like you are a lot more in control because I believe that we have free will, and I don't feel like
I agree with
that should be affected by
really
the way that the planets are and all this stuff. Like,
yeah, well, I don't agree with that either.
like this whole Mercury, like this whole Mercury retrograde, right? Where it's basically saying like, oh, when this is happening, pretty much we're all gonna have a shit time or a challenging time. Like, I feel like that's wrong.
It's definitely more of a an expectation, kind of like what's to come in the future. It might not happen, but it'll definitely make sense if you are going through something and Mercury is in retrograde and it brings about all these other changes and these new things that will come into your life, and it all makes sense at the end of the day.
Then see, to me,
it might not be true for you. You might have a good time in that time of.
But exactly, it's kind of like if I predict that something's gonna happen for something, like if you make enough predictions, you're bound to get a couple right. Does that mean that you can see the future, that you're some sort of prophet? No, you can only be claimed that if you are 100% correct on everything. That will make it fact. Like if I predict that in this year this event's gonna happen and this event's gonna happen, and I predict like 100 events and I get all 100 of them right, then yeah, people are gonna think like, damn, this dude can see the future, he's a prophet. Because then you probably could. But like if those are all these broad and multiple predictions and whatnot, and it only becomes true for some people, then that's why I feel like it's just a load of BS. But alright, guys, so this was our little episode, or whatever you want to call it, of us talking about some stuff. I thought that it was a pretty cool idea, because sometimes we have like deep little conversations, and I think it's cool to just put it on camera and, you know, hear what other people type of say. So kind of like a podcast, but not in the same type of setup. But yeah, so comment down below, leave some future topics. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this that we could talk about, or the next time that we just happen to just put up the camera and talk. So yeah, make sure you guys leave a like as well, and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, peace.